It's week 16, day 105 of my full-time chronic pain rehabilitation journey. I'm Jason. Today I'm going to talk about one full day. My rehab consumes my life. First though, a quick status update. I am walking a fine line between falling over and building up as much as I can of my body at the same time. It is a fine line, but somehow I've been able to navigate it now for over 3 months. My physical therapist is now pushing harder on parts of my body that he once described as a brick to get them to move, and I am doing twisting stretches on a regular basis, and so I am in more pain now than I have been my entire journey. It is necessary pain, however. I must get my back to move in order to get rid of the symptoms that have ailed me for so many years. I have a tip for you. Protein powder is of the devil, in particular in large quantities. It has the effect of turning whatever is in your stomach into cement, and you can imagine how it feels to pass cement. So I'm recommending that you not use it unless you use it in very measured quantities and build up very slowly so you can adapt your digestive system. Take some supplements if you need to, but it's simply not worth it in my opinion. I recommend that you instead eat quinoa, beans, tofu, or even egg whites. I know I say I don't eat animal products, but I've considered egg whites and found them to be okay, and I'm not a purist, I'm a pragmatist, and so I find them to be acceptable, and I do use them on occasion to bolster my protein intake. On to today's topic, a full day in the life of Jason. I started this morning at 6:45, I actually woke up at 6 o'clock, but I left for the PT office at 6:45. I returned home from the recovery center that I go to at 3:45, and that approximates about 9 hours that I was out of the house just doing rehab-related stuff. 30 minutes of that was a doctor's appointment, so technically it was about 8.5 hours, but it was a lot of stuff. So I'm going to talk about how my day starts and walk you through it. I woke up about 6 o'clock and I followed a procedure I call Miracle Morning. It's adapted from a man named Hal Elrod, and I don't use all of his techniques, and I've integrated a few others that I've learned from other people, but this is what my morning looks like. I get up and I take a cold shower. I then prepare a bottle of water with lemon or lime juice, maybe both, and an electrolyte solution to help boost all of my, electrolyte chemicals like potassium, magnesium, that kind of stuff. And then I step outside to get some sunlight for about 1 to 2 minutes, and I do a 5-minute meditation and I journal for about 5 minutes. This is what I try to do every single morning before I go anywhere. Then I left and went to the PT office, that's physical therapy, and they did something called A-stim, which is essentially scraping me with a hard plastic thing that kind of looks like a knife almost. It's a little bit painful, but it's not too bad. And then I did traction. I'm now at the maximum amount of traction for my body weight, which is 75 pounds. The idea there is to loosen up and pull apart my middle back. Then they do what's called a posterior to anterior manipulation, grade 4, which is the highest grade you can do short of doing a chiropractic maneuver. It's sustained pressure over time, and they are now moving all parts of my thoracic spine, even when they don't want to, and it hurts. The last thing they do is they put dry needles all up and down my thoracic spine and connect them to a current machine, so I'm essentially getting the equivalent of a stem machine. It's like where you attach little electrodes to your back and stimulate muscles. They do that in a deep tissue level through the needles in my back. Then I go to the gym and I do a warm-up routine. I sit in the dry sauna for about 5 minutes, and then I spend about 5 minutes on the elliptical doing both upper and lower body motion to warm up my body. Then I go on to do weights. I typically do 3 muscle groups. For each muscle group that I do that day, I do a warm-up set, which is high weight, high repetition, just to warm up the area. I don't really count that, but it does happen, so I'm telling you about it. And then I do approximately 11 sets of exercises. That's, for example, if I were to do 10 repetitions of some exercise, that is 1 set. I do 11 sets on each muscle group for a total of 36, including the warm-up sets. It's a lot of exercise. Then I do either 30 minutes of core exercises or cardiovascular. I alternate by day, so 3 times during the week I do core, 3 times I do cardio. And if I'm going to tell you a little bit about my core routine, it centers around doing sustained yoga poses and also using a foam roller. Something I've just started recently doing, which also aggravates my back more, is arching my back over the foam roller so that it will start to do what is called a yoga cat pose, which is kind of when you arch your back up like this. It's very painful, but I'm doing it kind of inverted on top of the foam roller. And again, it's something new and it's pushing me to my pain limit, but I'm tolerating it. I'm not falling over. Then I go to the dry sauna for 30 minutes each day and I stretch the entire time. It's 180 degrees in there and I stretch every muscle group that I can figure out how to stretch. I've got a routine for all of them and I'm very thorough, and by the time I leave I am drenched from top to bottom. Then I take another cold shower to rinse off all the sweat and get ready to go to the recovery center. When I get to the recovery center, they put red and blue light laser pads on my middle back and lower back for 30 minutes. Then they do what's called scrubbing. It's a technique where they use their elbows to force my muscles to relax. They kind of plant the elbow next to my spine and push down and pull away until my muscles essentially melt or relax and let him do whatever he wants to do to me. Then I do either a technique called scraping. It's a lot like the A-stem technique I described at the physical therapist's office, or cupping. It's when they suck your flesh up into these little transparent, little bubble-like glass thingies. Anyway, it's really gross. And then I go into the cold tub for a certain amount of time to cool my body down and reduce inflammation. And that's pretty much my day. And then, driving to the physical therapist's office and getting home and doing all that took about 8.5 hours. I go to physical therapy twice a week, and sometimes I do a ketamine treatment. These are becoming less frequent, but that takes me 2 to 3 hours as well, but never in the same day. All right, after hours, I'm going to describe what I do after my routine, which was the 8.5 hours. I do some cool down routines at home. I have a device that allows me to administer pain medication from an intrathecal pump. It's a pump implanted in my body. It runs a drip line into my spinal cord and administers medications that way. I use those 2 to 3 times at night if I'm hurting quite a bit. The most I've ever used is about 4, maybe 5 times. I have a CBD deodorant-like stick that I can rub on my back that works really well. CBD is a derivative of marijuana. It's not the part that gets you high. It's actually just a compound that has pain-fighting properties, analgesic properties. And then I also use ice packs, sometimes a little bit of hot pack and then some cold packs to kind of cool things down again. I shoot my daily video. Somewhere along throughout the day I write a script. Sometimes I have to write it when I get home if I didn't have time, but I usually write it somewhat during the day. I'm usually studying YouTube materials during the day to derive some kind of topic to share with you. And then I do a 15-minute yoga routine at night, and I follow a pretty strict bedtime routine, which I'm not going to describe here. So when I say that I'm doing everything in my power to rehabilitate my body, I mean it. And sometimes when I'm doing these routines, when I have lull moments, like when I'm on a table at the physical therapist's office or I'm on a table at the recovery center, I practice meditation. So I am trying to train my mind at the same time. There is literally almost no spare minutes in my day other than eating, getting ready, doing this, and following through, but I want it to be that way. I want intense focus. I want everything to be centered on my rehabilitation journey. I'm giving my absolute all. And so should you. Fighting for your life means continuously adapting your routine. You have to incorporate everything you're learning to get optimal results. If you find my videos helpful, please pass them along and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, keep fighting for your life.